Spider-Man Homecoming is the first Spider-Man film in the MCU, and it's the 15th or 16th or 17th or 20th or 25th MCU film, I think, in general. It stars Tom Holland, who once again reprises his role as the title character from Civil War last year. It stars Tony Stark in a few scenes in this movie, the hot-ass Aunt May, played by Marissa Tomei. So basically in this movie, Peter is trying to impress Tony Stark. He's trying to get a gig with the Avengers. He's trying to prove that he can be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And Tony Stark is like, hey, keep your head to the ground and don't worry about the big stuff and just chill out and just, we'll give you a call. Then a villain emerges, played by Michael Keaton, who calls himself, or he doesn't actually call himself, he's just called Vulture because we know who he is. Anyway, Vulture shows up, he starts causing some havoc. Spider-Man tries to stop him, and by trying to stop him, he creates a bigger mess. And so we've got a high school movie featuring Spider-Man. As you guys can tell from the montage, you know I'm a pretty huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man has influenced my life so much that before this review, I tried to film myself jumping down the stairs, web swinging and web sticking to the door just to see if I could do it. Suffice it to say, it didn't work out too well, and I will never show that video to the public ever because I need to preserve some semblance of my dignity. I dug Spider-Man Homecoming. I think it's a pretty good-ass movie. Tom Holland as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he nailed it. It was a brilliant capturing of the character that I grew up loving. Like, he captures the vulnerable nerd part of Peter Parker really well. He's a superhero, and he's got all this other high school bullshit to deal with. He's got all this other stuff. He's got girls, he's got hormones, he's got work, he's got girls. I already said that, didn't I? Yep. High school is pretty much all about girls. Don't let anyone tell you different. You feel like he would much rather be Spider-Man all the time. Then Tom Holland also does a great job where he captures the Spider-Man essence. He captures that playful, adventurous, excitable, cocky, confident, jokey Spider-Man that we all come to know and love. I have no complaints about Tom Holland in general. He killed it. He did a great job, and I'm really excited to see him going forward. Really, I would say everybody did a pretty good job. Michael Keaton was surprisingly good as the Vulture. Yeah, I know the MCU movies don't really have a great track record when it comes to villains and how they're portrayed in these movies, but he was good. I mean, he kind of played a pretty cool foil to Peter Parker. Peter Parker is really young and naive and innocent and really brave and determined, and meanwhile you've got this crusty old bastard who played Batman over 20 years ago. Yeah, Michael Keaton comes off as very jaded, he's very cynical, he's very grizzled, he's very rusty, he's very bitter, he's very cranky, and you feel like that's a pretty good setup for him and Spider-Man to clash at each other. And really, you can sense the Vulture's frustration throughout this movie because all of his plans and all of his things where he's trying to gather all of these items and he's trying to sell them, he's trying to create a business for himself, and this spider dude just keeps getting in the way. He's like a pest. I get it. I totally understand the Vulture. I totally understand where he was coming from in this film. There's some fun visual effects and fun action sequences. I wouldn't say that any of the action in this movie blew me away because we've been spoiled when it comes to action in Spider-Man movies. Let's just be honest here. I thought it was really fun seeing Spider-Man swing around and kick some ass, and I also thought that it was a pretty cool way that they tied in the rest of the MCU and the rest of the Marvel Universe into this Spider-Man Sony universe, and you realize there's a lot of things from previous movies that tie in and build Spider-Man's story and his mythos in this universe, and so I thought that was pretty cool as well. Now that we've talked about everything that a spider can do, let's talk about all the things that a spider didn't do, at least for me personally. Yeah, I have legitimate issues with this movie, and then I have fan nitpicks, and I'm just gonna call them fits for the purposes of this video. The point is, there are issues that I have with this film that are more like nitpicks in the sense that they don't really take away from the film itself, so I can't really criticize the movie for them, and I can't really get into them because obviously, spoilers. I can't criticize the movie for that. It's like, okay, I think that Marissa Tomei is hot, and I'm disappointed that this movie did not have a single scene of Aunt May putting on some lingerie or getting undressed or anything like that. I mean, yeah, that's a bitching complaint for me, but it's not something that I can actually complain about in the movie, because who would have ever thought that Aunt May is hot would be 4 words that we'd be saying in 2017? Nobody thought we'd be saying that years ago. We're here now, folks. Though I would say that some of the humor in this movie does come off as a little bit stale. Some of the jokes are very hit and miss for me. It could just be me personally. I feel like a lot of other people are going to find this movie hilarious, but sometimes when they focus on the high school shit and there are some corny ass high school jokes, and the best jokes are the corniest ones, you guys know this by now, but sometimes they did didn't really land. You feel like they could have stuck the landing a little bit better on some of those jokes. So when they spend a lot of time focusing on the high school jokes and the high school shit, and some of the humor isn't really landing, you kind of feel like because it's so stale that the pacing is starting to drag a little bit. So while Michael Keaton was really great, really badass as the Vulture, I do feel like his actual development into becoming the Vulture was kind of rushed and kind of sloppy. It feels like something was skipped along the way and he became Vulture. Also, I feel like there are some characters in this movie that are only in this movie to set up future things in this universe, to set up future arcs and future stuff, and I feel like they don't actually add anything to the movie in general, so you kind of feel like their scenes are pointless and kind of a waste of time. Guys, in the end, Spider-Man Homecoming did a great job of capturing the Peter Parker and Spider-Man character. There's some cool ass action scenes. It feels like a really good addition to the MCU, and I actually really enjoyed this movie. Having said that, I enjoyed it. I did not love it, and so I cannot give it my highest rating. I will go second tier, and I will slap the Man of Steel silver badge of honor on this thing. Guys, that is my review of Spider-Man Homecoming. It comes out next week. Make sure you check it out. If you had Spider-Man's powers, like if you just woke up one day and had Spider-Man's powers, what is the first thing that you would do? Comment below and let me know. As always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel.